Hi, I am Layla Baker, and this is my chapter presentation. For my chapter, I did Chapter 9, Conflict in Relationships. Conflicts in relationships are disagreements, arguments, and just conflict. And a disagreement is like differences in opinions. Argument is like a verbal exchange in words, so going back and forth. And then a conflict is when two or more people have like opposing arguments. There is a difference in these three, so it's good, like you need to understand the difference between all of them. There's certain people have high and low tolerances to conflict or disagreement, and if you like have a high tolerance, you like can easily discuss the conflict between it. But if you have low, you feel like you're being personally attacked. So like, say you have low tolerance and you go up to somebody and are trying to have a conversation with them, they might get defensive and start coming at you in a rude manner because they feel like you're attacking them personally instead of like trying to solve the situation. There's two perspectives of conflict: is disruptions in normal working of a system and should be avoided. Conflict is negative and inherently destructive. So like, say you're in a situation and two people don't agree on something, this could cause the whole group to suffer. This could cause a destruction to everything and just overall not like make the experience hard to work with. The other one is normal part of human communication. So parts of this is managing and overcoming conflict is a foundational building block of relationships. Conflict helps relationships become stronger and healthier. Conflicts can be constructive or destructive to a relationship. So having conflict in a relationship can overall grow your relationship and make you stronger in the end, but it's just how you deal with it with your partner. If y'all don't go about solving it the correct way, it can lead to future problems. You should not avoid conflict. You need to face it head on, or it's just going to build up and eventually explode, and that could cause even worse problems for you. And it is a normal part of human communication, so it happens a lot, but it's just how you actually deal with it. 4 components of interpersonal conflict are: people are independent. Conflict negatively affects the relationship if not addressed. Some sense of urgency to reach a solution. People, perspective, different goals, outcomes of means to the same end. So back to like, people are independent, so they want to be right. They want to know the solution to the problem, and if you don't agree, then you're wrong. But it's how you overcome that. You need to work together to find a solution to this. And like I said, if it's not addressed, it can negatively affect the relationship because if it goes unattended, it can just build up. People's perspective, different outcomes of means to the same end. So like I said, you need to just make sure y'all both are on the same page. How do goals impact conflict? People have different goals. So an incompatible goal is when two people want different things, and the definition for incompatible is when two people want to achieve the same goal but disagree on how to go about accomplishing it. An incompatible goal is when two people want different things. So this is like when you want you both want to achieve the same thing, but you don't want to go about the same route to do that. So you really just need to work with your partner or whoever you're in this relationship with and have this conflict with, and talk to them about the means to how to come to a good solution that can fit both of y'all in the end. Because you don't want to go just let it build up to a point where y'all, if you're in a relationship, break up or stop being friends or however it is. Conflict can negatively affect relationships. It can decrease the liking for somebody if it goes unattended, decreasing care for your partner, increased desire to end the relationship, increased revenge, self-seeking behavior, increased aggression and avoidance. Conflict reaches a point to where it can't be avoided and must be addressed. So if you go too long without it, like addressing the situation, you can become like more and more aggravated, because they're just going to continue to do the same thing until y'all work the problem out. So you need to come to a good solution, or you're going to become angry, and you could even take your aggression out on them. And that is very serious and could cause so many more problems. You could lose your partner in this situation if you don't go about solving this the correct way as well. And you could try and push conflict off for as long as you want, but if you just keep pushing it off, it's all going to come back to that same problem in the end. You need to just face it head on at that time. Here is a video which is about avoiding conflict.
The main reason that couples tend to give when they come into my office for therapy is communication. Now, over the years, I have identified a common culprit that is almost always the cause of that breakdown in communication. And that common culprit is conflict avoidance. Now, I understand why people do it. I think we all do it for the right reasons. You know, we say sure when we don't really mean it, or we keep something annoying to ourselves because we don't want to ruin the evening or whatnot. But there is a consistent cost to taking that approach. And when I explain that to couples in my office, it makes a dramatic difference in their relationship. So I want to explain that to you now. So let's take a hypothetical couple. We'll call them Terry and Sean. And we'll put them into a not super horrible dilemma, and we're going to see what happens. So let's say that Terry is out and heading home and calls up Sean and says, "Hey Sean, I've got a great idea. Let's get pizza." And Sean's thinking, "Oh, I don't really feel like pizza. I was kind of thinking about a salad today." And Sean knows that to say that would mean that conflict would be in the relationship, right? And I always picture it up here, between the two people, up here, like swarming around like a swarm of bees or a thundercloud or something. It's conflict. So let's say instead, Terry calls up and says, "Hey, Sean, I got a great idea. Let's get pizza tonight." And Sean doesn't want pizza, really wants a salad, but doesn't want to have that kind of evening. So says, "Yeah, sure, pizza sounds good." All right, no harm done. Sean doesn't really want pizza, but went along with it anyway. No big deal. There's no conflict up here in the relationship. But does the conflict still exist? Right? It does. Where does it exist? Inside of Sean. So
basically what he's saying now is, even if you don't face the conflict head on, so like Sean and Terry say Terry wanted pizza and Sean said he wanted a salad, there might be a conflict between them, but that's something they could work out. They might go somewhere where they can get both or go separate places. But as say Terry wanted the salad or the pizza, and Sean said he also wanted the pizza when he really didn't, that causes conflict, maybe not in their relationship, but inside his mind. And that could really cause problems if it was a bigger situation. That could cause way bigger problems in the future for these people. So it's better to just face the problem head on, because this is still building up inside of him and causing problems.
Sean hasn't avoided conflict. Sean has effectively internalized conflict. Now, the first thing that happens there, the most simple thing, is that Terry's getting misinformation, right? So Terry's going to come home with a pizza, plan on having a great night, thinking that they're both in on it together, and Sean's going to be a little off, a little quiet, a little weird, and when Terry asks why, Sean's not going to be able to really say why, and it's going to be kind of weird. But that's not even the worst part. The real damage to the relationship comes in here, because conflict, in order to be resolved or dissolved or worked through or gotten rid of, always requires compromise. So if Terry wants pizza and calls up Sean, and Sean doesn't really want pizza and says that, and there's conflict up here in the relationship, then the two partners are going to have to work together and come up with a compromise. Maybe they order a pizza and pick up a salad. Maybe they wait till Saturday. I don't know. They'll come up with some kind of compromise together to work it out. But if Terry calls up Sean and says, "Hey, I got a great idea. Let's get pizza tonight." Sean doesn't want pizza, but doesn't want to have that evening, so says, "Yeah, sure, pizza. Go ahead. I'll order it. You pick it up." And internalizes the conflict. What happens then? See, the compromise that internalized conflict requires is that we compromise a bit of ourselves every time. And it builds up over time and has a way of chipping away at a person's sense of self. And they begin to feel like they don't matter, they're less important in the relationship. They begin to feel like they lose their voice. And then resentment sets in, and resentment builds. Now, the good news is that it's really easy to undo that pattern. All the couple has to do is prioritize honesty over the reaction that they're afraid that they're going to get from their partner. All they have to do is make sure that their yes means yes or their no means no.
Here he's saying, like, that could cause resentment in a relationship and cause, like, the decrease in liking. So you need to face it head on so you can stop this, because conflict can be worked out. You just need to be on the same page and able to listen to your partners so you can work it out.
No. Be honest with each other in their thoughts and in their feelings. Now, will there be more conflict? No. There won't be more conflict. It'll just be out in the open where it belongs, right? Where both partners can work together to come up with a compromise. So that nobody is any longer internalizing the conflict. Nobody's chipping away at their sense of self. There's no voice being lost. Resentment doesn't set in, and resentment doesn't build up. So I'd like to see you try that. Being honest with one another. It'll be easier than you think. Thank you.
So this was a TED Talk by David Thorson about avoiding conflict. So back to my slideshow. How emotions and feelings impact conflict. So everyone is entitled to their own emotions, which could cause conflict because one person might be mad, one person might be sad about it. So you have to work together to be on the same page. Individuals can change their own emotions, meaning in an argument they can cause you to change from sad, mad, disappointed. Emotional states help individuals process and navigate life. Managing negative emotions during conflict leads to faster de-escalation and conflict mediation. This means if you control the negativity, it is easier, faster to resolve a situation. So I know it would be hard to control it, you feel these emotions and you need to be able to express them, but you need to limit, you need to be respectful to the other person because they also have a sense of opinions on this. An individual's physical relationship or reaction to stimuli can cause you to act in irrational ways. So you need to make sure you're like controlling what you say and speak and how you say it. And then emotional awareness ability is the ability to clearly express in words what they are feeling and why. So you need to have something to back up your argument and why you feel this way. So they'll be able to take you seriously and y'all can come to a sense of agreement. You need to be emotionally aware so you can support your reasons. Be emotionally aware also allows you to resolve conflict easier and faster. And then here is if use statements in conflict. Use statements are moralistic judgments which one implies wrongfulness of another person and how they have behaved. So the cycle of defectiveness is denies responsibility, lacks of fulfillment, demands on others, blame, or punishment. You need to make sure you're not, you need to be responsible for your own actions and make sure you're not demanding someone else to do this. You need to work together to find the solution instead of telling each other what to do. And don't blame anybody because this is both of your situations. So relational needs is ability to make your own decisions, celebration, play, spiritual communication. That's another thing that's big in conflict. If you aren't on the same page about your faiths and stuff, that can cause conflict. You need to know at the beginning of a relationship where you stand before it progresses into something more, and that can't be changed. Integrity and independence. And then EQ is a big thing that causes conflict because one person might think they are smarter than the other, and talks down to them. So you need to make sure you're still being respectful to this person. Yes, you might be smarter, but they still have their own source of opinions. And then power can influence conflict because people can also think down if they're a famous person to a person that works in a small town. But you need to make sure you're on the same page. And then the French and Raven 6 bases of power. Informational power, coercive power, reward power, legitimate power, expert power, referent power, influence power. And good strategies to use to de-escalate conflict is the Lawton and McCarthy ways and ABCs of conflict. ABCs of conflict are like the avoiders, the battlers, and the collaborators. So the avoiders, you need to make sure that you need to work to make sure that you stop doing that because that's just making it worse in the end. The battlers are the people who fight because they think they're right. So you need to make sure to also work on that. And then the collaborators are the people who are trying to work together to find a solution. And then strategies you should use to de-escalate a situation is to stop, think, and listen. All these can help you come to an accurate solution with your partner in a respectful manner. That is the end. Thank you for listening.